Today's Bible verse is Matthew 6:14, and it goes, "For if you forgive others of their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you." And this is just saying, don't hold grudges, accept people's apologies, don't hold on to things of the past. People are people that make mistakes, they're human, it's what happens. Accept their apology, don't hold grudges, and just move on from things. Be willing to accept and willing to move on. I love you guys very, very much. Let's get into the 2024 Washington Commanders preview. Dude, Washington Commanders are going to be one of the most intriguing teams this season. They've made so many changes this offseason. They look like a completely new team from last year. There's really the only thing that's similar is the jerseys. But even then, they're bringing back their gold pants. So they're still making changes in that department. It's just, this is a whole new team. I mean, their identity is, obviously we know the Commanders have only been around for like 3 years. This whole team is just brand new. It's reimagined. Jaden Daniels, obviously the second pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, quarterback, Heisman-winning quarterback out of LSU. He's likely to be the day one starter, so we're going to see him week one on the field there for Washington, hopefully in those gold pants. I really like those gold pants. They go out and make a ton of free agency signings. I mean, look at some of these big names. They might be older, but Austin Eckler, Bobby Wagner, Jeremy Chin, Frankie Louvu, Cleveland Farrell, who was a top 4 pick from the Raiders way back when, Zach Ertz, Super Bowl winning tight end. I mean, they just have names after names of legendary, experienced veterans that they went out and got this offseason. Didn't even spend too much money on them too, which is the upside for Washington. They're going to have some cap space for next year as well. I mean, and we go look at their coaching changes, not even their players, their coaching changes. They bring in Dan Quinn, who is obviously defensive coordinator there at Dallas, did a great job developing that defense. He comes over and takes over a brand new identified defense with a ton of playmakers on it. Obviously had a stint in Atlanta as a head coach, so he has experience coaching for sure. Dan Quinn is a very experienced guy. That's why they brought him in. Speaking of experience, they also get Cliff Kingsbury at offensive coordinator, who was head coach at Arizona for a little bit, head coach at Texas Tech with Patrick Mahomes. He was back at USC last year. He has a ton of experience running an offense as well. So you have two great-minded head coach, different sides of the ball as well. Dan Quinn defense, Cliff Kingsbury offense. You're just running a great system there in that front office. I really like those two additions, and I think they're going to pan out very well over the course of these couple seasons. They had the 16th hardest schedule, tied for the 16th hardest schedule in the NFL. They're like dead even in that mark. I mean, their opponents last year were a combined 145 to 144. Literally won one more game than they lost last season. Almost dead even, as close as you can get. They're playing dead even football this year. I mean, obviously their opponents are going to be the exact same as they were last year, but they have a dead even schedule. They have a chance to make some noise in the NFL. They're being gifted great playmakers, great coaching schemes, not too hard of a schedule. They just need to go out and play their brand of football, and they could make some noise. Who knows? So I think the Commanders are going to be very interesting. I'm going to keep a close eye on them, because if they win a couple games down a stretch or they go on a streak, there's no doubt that they could sneak into a playoff, a wild card spot. We saw them do it a couple years ago when they played the Buccaneers in that Tom Brady squad. So there's no doubt in my mind that you got to keep an eye on this team. They might do something. Do I think they'll do something personally? No. They're projected to finish 4th in the NFC East, which is dead last, obviously, in that division. Not a crazy division. They're probably one of the easier divisions in the NFL. I don't say that lightly. They have the Cowboys and the Eagles, two very good teams in that NFC, two very respected teams in that NFC. Then you also have the Giants in that division, who they're interesting year after year. They fluctuate. Then you have the Commanders, who are never really hitting that mark, never really where they want to be, but maybe, who knows, these coaching changes, Cliff Kingsbury, Dan Quinn, all these additions to the roster, they can help them get over that hump. But I project them to finish 30th in the league with a 5-12 record. Nothing too hot, like almost dead last in the NFL. I just think there's not enough experience and chemistry with this team. You have experienced coaches, but you bring in a lot of guys that have never played together before. You bring in a couple of rookies with Luke McCaffrey, you bring in Jaden Daniels. There's just not experience and chemistry with this roster. You have to build that over the course of the season, and I feel like by the time they get the ball rolling, it'll be a little too late there in Washington. Their season will already come to an end, and I think 5-12 is a very respectable record for a team like that, with no chemistry, brand new changes. Everything's pretty much brand new, a brand new identity there in DC. So I think a 5-12 would look a lot better than it sounds. 5-12, you think, oh, that's a terrible record. Like, you finished near the bottom of the league, which is true. You do finish near the bottom of the league, but you're getting experience, you're gaining, you're seeing what you have, you're eyeballing your squad, and you're reassessing for next year, figuring out how to use your strengths to your advantages, getting rid of some of those weaknesses you saw throughout the season. So I think they just need to take this season to evaluate what they have, know what their squad is, and then go into next season with the whole revamped reimagination of their football squad. Jaden Daniels, the second best odds to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. First is obviously Caleb Williams with those plus 150 odds. Jaden Daniels comes in at plus 800. This is via FanDuel and Sportsbook. Jaden Daniels has room to make noise. He has targets now. He has a good offense. We saw good targets. Terry McLaurin, Austin Eckler. He has other guys, Brian Thomas, Luke McCaffrey, Zach Ertz. There is chance Jaden Daniels, if he can use his legs, slide, stay healthy, use that arm we saw at LSU. He pulls out his Heisman winning CJ Stroud type rookie year there for Washington. We could very well be talking about him holding that trophy at the end of the season, being that Pepsi Offensive Rookie of the Year. There's no doubt in my mind Jaden Daniels can go out and win that award. I think Caleb Williams and the Bears have a great chance to go out and win that award, but Jaden Daniels would be my bet to win that award. I think if he does some stuff, he can beat out Caleb Williams in that voting race. He can hold that trophy at the end of the year, and Jaden Daniels can reign victorious in that department. I know we talked about J.J. McCarthy last video, but he's not going to hold that trophy, especially if he's not a day one starter. Jaden Daniels is a day one starter, and I think he has a great chance to win that Offensive Rookie of the Year award. But the Commanders, on the flip side of that, are ranked with the worst roster in all of football via the New York Times and The Athletic. Not too hot on them. This was before the draft, so they didn't have Jaden Daniels, Luke McCaffrey, all these studs they went out and drafted. But I still do think it's respectable. Their roster's not where it needs to be yet. They have playmakers, they have great players, but it's not evened out, no chemistry. There's not too many big names. There's big names. We've named them. We've gone over them already, but there's not too many big names. I think there's still a lot of unknowns and question marks with this squad. So ranking them with the worst roster, is it justified? I think it could be. There's an argument to be made both ways. I mean, you could say they are the worst roster, they're not the worst roster, but I think there's still some growing pains this team's going to experience throughout the season, some stuff this team needs to do, but overall it'll be a very interesting team to watch. So make sure to keep your eyes on the Washington Commanders, and let me know down in the comments right now. Go down, where do you think they're going to finish? How are they going to stack up among the league? Where's Jaden Daniels Rookie of the Year going to go? Just let me know what do you think about this squad in the comments below. Comment your team that you want to see me do down below as well. Make sure to like, subscribe, and keep God number one. I love you all very, very much. It's been Brogan Hillman, and I'm out.